What's up, everybody? We're gonna tie some flies today. This is the new pattern coming out for Umpqua in fall 2021. This is my fly called Pop's Shad. The hook that I'm actually gonna tie with today, it's the Umpqua X series. It's the XS 420 in a size 2. If you want something with a little bit of wider gap, I like the XS 415. This is a sweet hook. And then if you need something really heavy, you can use the XS 415H. This is the heavier gauge wire version of the XS 415. So I like using this one for the really big stripers, or if I don't want to add any lead on my fly, then you can actually use this hook and it'll sink it about the same as you would with adding a little bit of lead on the shank of your hook. For thread, again, a lot of variations here. You can use really whatever you want, as long as it's a natural color. I like using a 210 from UTC. The stuff is super strong. Layer of thread. So I'm going to put just a little guard behind or on the bottom side of my Marabou on the tail. That's really just so it won't spin around the hook or around the bend of the hook quite as bad. You'll see it's kind of got a natural curve to it. So what I like to do is actually just line it up and basically have that curve going outwards, and then I'll tie it flat on top. So you get it in on one side, and then you can see it kind of forms a natural shape like that. So I'm actually gonna bend it around the side and then line it up exactly with that other side. And then kind of bend it up a little bit, and I'll make a couple wraps underneath it as well. And that'll just that'll make it stand up nicely. Here's what I think is probably one of the more important parts of this fly. It's the selection of Marabou. You can use either a pearl gray or you can use a shad gray. The shad gray is a little bit darker. It matches up better with this brush that we're going to be using. But if you want a little lighter one, you can go with the pearl gray. I know what a lot of people like to do is, you get your feather, you brush it back, you tie it in. That's generally not what you want to do with this fly. If you do that and you keep the stem in, one, it's going to trap a lot more air. It's going to take longer to sink, and then you're going to end up having to add more weight to the fly that you don't necessarily need to do. It'll also all kind of clump together, and it won't work independently quite as well. So you want to find a good wide-bodied feather that has a nice plume to it. And then what I like to do is basically just take it along the sides and pull those feathers off of there, and then try to line up the ends of them to where that's pretty much what you're left with. And then tie it in at the back. Kind of same procedure here. Just grip it and rip it. Same deal here. And you can kind of stretch those out a little bit. So the next step, I'm gonna just use silver Flashabou. Just take one full strand, and I like to cut it in half, and then I'm just gonna bend it over the thread, just like that. It actually gives you a nice little connection point. Same kind of deal. Just gonna bend it over the thread and then pinch it on either side. So that's going to be your flash. Don't need a lot of flash on this fly for sure. You can put a lot in there. You don't have to though. Body of the fly. This is real simple. These EP brushes. The one that I'm using for this fly is the 1.5" minnow head, and this is the minnow gray color. What you'll want off of this brush is about a 2-inch section. That's going to get you through pretty much this entire fly. And they come off pretty thick. So what I like to do is just take them and just thin them out a little bit. But if you just take them and thin it out that way, then it'll make it a little bit more manageable, and you won't have to do as much thinning kind of in the end. So basics on this one, you're going to take one end of it and you want to pull just a hair bit of that stuff off of there, expose a little bit of that wire, and then tie it in at the back, and then do a little half hitch. Take your little hackle pliers and then just you'll have to kind of brush it back a little bit at a time as you're pulling it forward. You may not get it right the first time every time you do this, but the way you want it to end is about like that. So when you're basically done with this, you want it to be right at the eye of the hook. That way, all you have to do is make a wrap over that wire and then just secure it down. So the shaping portion of this, I like using a little welder's brush. So these steel bristles will hold up a lot longer, and they'll kind of pull out the things that a toothbrush can't always get. And then I like to basically put this fly into 4 parts. You got the 2 sides and then the top and the bottom. So you're gonna kind of pull out and form each side, and then same deal on the top, and then same deal on the bottom. So let's see if I can show that to y'all. That's kind of what you're looking for. This is a really good technique that I've kind of figured out for shaping. It just keeps things separated, which is sort of what you want when you're trying to shape down to a specific angle. So you're really just going to take your scissors and go along the edge of the eye of the hook and just make a cut. Same deal on the other side. And then the top, you just kind of want to go at an angle up. Same deal on the bottom. You basically want to be aiming towards the point of that hook and then brush it back down. This is now your shad shape. So we're going to put the gills, or whatever you want to call them, on there. I use the Ice Dub UV Fluorescent Hot Pink. If you've heard anything from Henry Cowan, you know that your striper flies have got to have pink on them. So what I do is I just take a little clump of this stuff and you just kind of pick it apart until you get it lined up on the back end, and you're just going to line it up along the sides. Make a wrap. Same kind of deal here on the other side. And for the top of this stuff, I like to use the Ice Dub UV Gray. This is going to be basically the back of that fly. So again, you just pull out a nice section, and you're actually just going to kind of pick it apart like you did. And it's really, this stuff is easy to tie in. If you start to pinch it in the middle, it'll give you a really nice tie-in point. And then you're just going to lay this up on top, make a couple wraps. So this is now the part you're going to bend everything back over itself. So all the little gills and that top, and then you're going to make a couple wraps over it. So that's kind of what you're wanting to get out of there. Wrap it up in front, make a whip finish. So now kind of the next portion of shaping. I like to cut off some of this back and just thin it out. This is going to be a little thicker one, but that's okay. And then again, kind of on the bottom. I generally like these flies to be a little thinner. I use 1/4 inch WTP eyes. I like using the glow-in-the-dark ones. You can also use the silver ones. So all I'm going to do is just put a little bit of the Loctite on the back of it. And then the idea is you basically want that eye to sit right behind the eye of the fly, or the eye of the hook. And you're just going to press it in there. Same deal on the other side. So at this stage, I would actually epoxy the gaps in the top and on the bottom. But now that I've got my eyes on, make my little final cuts here. Start to really shape it down. It's really one other step. And this is optional, just depending on what you're trying to match. I'm trying to match a thread fin shad, so I'm going to actually put a little black dot with one of these Prisma markers. And that's it. That is the Pops shad. So yeah, hope that helps, and hope you guys get out there and fish some. Thank you.